Pulse has taken the world by storm as the leading Web3 social media. Beyond current features like casting, tipping, inscription trading, and earning, it's now elevating to the next level, on-chain.
Soil, a fully regulated, seamless link between traditional finance and the digital crypto world, offering secure returns fully backed by tangible, real-world assets.
The Credify testnet is live, so head on over to demo.credify.finance to see how you can effortlessly experiment with autonomous earning, NFT corporate bonds, Credi and X-Credi utilities, and Module X.
Good afternoon, everyone. BT Richfield here, coming to you live from London. It's just gone a couple of minutes past midday, making it a couple of minutes past 1100 UTC. A big shout out to everybody joining the stream live today. Got hundreds of you piling, which is awesome to see. Gio in for the win, as far as I can see in the chat. Raphael as well as everybody else, obviously, that's watching this, and people that will be watching this on catch up. So we're going to dive straight into Bitcoin today. If we've got some time towards the end, then we'll take a look at some chart requests as well, because there's some really good narratives hotting up at the moment. And, you know, just to touch upon it quickly, I've just shared something on Twitter from a friend of mine, Mr. M, who you should check out, but was Donald Trump's brilliant piece at Bitcoin 2024, where we had our dear TBN member, the trading tank, out there as well, making the most of it. But what he said about Gary Gensler was brilliant. Like him or loathe him, personal thoughts aside, the guy is going to be brilliant for crypto and for the markets in general. All right. Wasn't first in for Taylor credit. Hey, Erica. Lovely to see you too. Craigie boy. No, you're on it, mate. We are literally just beginning, my friend. Just beginning. So what better place to start than this, right? So I'm going to leave these little bits of squiggle on there. You're going to have to forgive those. I'll get rid of that for the moment. But as I released, I actually got to do 2 Bitcoin reports for the Bird Nest this week, which was really cool. So did the one for Jay, like you'll know him as the trading tank, one of the best swing traders around, boys and girls. If you are not following this guy, then you are doing yourself a disservice, right? He's one of the big reasons that we have been profitable consistently for over 2.5 years now, certainly since I had the great honor of taking over as head of the market analyst team at TBN, and he's just superb. Anyway, he was representing TBN out there and, you know, had a great time, but things are really starting to look positive now, right? So like we've said for a while now, we've been laying out really similar levels. Hans, my man, great to see you in here. Yeah, what a funny thing. Just first thing Trump does, comes onto the stage and just says, if I'm elected, the first thing I'm going to do my first day in office is fire Gary Gensler. And the cheer that went up. That guy, you know, again, love him or loathe him, that guy knows how to work a room, right? So this is really important for me. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the channel, some of you maybe aren't, I really do like to keep things quite simple. I'm looking at price action trading in the ways of liquidity, right? So price moving from highs to lows to seek that liquidity and also to rebalance gaps. Now, what that means is I'm identifying key areas on the chart where I want to be a buyer, where I want to be a seller, and that obviously has ramifications based on the time frame that we're trading on. I've mostly focused on intraday, but I appreciate most people here are looking on a longer time frame. So I try and make these shows, and especially our show today, we do altcoin requests typically on a Wednesday, or any kind of tradable market asset or instrument, and then we take a look at that. But today I kind of want to keep a bit more on the higher time frame picture as well, because for me it's been so very clean. So just zooming out again, look, quite simply, this is the key area we were looking for a reaction. Price diving down into here. Why was this a good place to look? Because a lot of people said to me, well, actually, you know, really not the place to be looking for longs, right? Because this move down to here saw us shift in market structure, actually saw us break market structure, right? With this low being broken there. All right, that's this level here. Why? Because we came up here, set a high, higher low, lower high, and breaking this set the lower low, right? So all in all, great place for people to get bearish. And that's what makes me even more bullish, because the market is typically late to react to these decisions or to this conviction, right? So breaking this here, you would have got a lot of people starting to ape into short positions around here, stop losses around here somewhere, market moves up, takes all of those people out. Then you see the influx of spot buyers coming in, which typically kind of underpins more, you can view it as institutional investment. You can look at it more as serious buyers that are looking to kind of put this in long-term portfolios, for example, versus your kind of leveraged traders. So what does it all mean? Quite simply, we've been targeting this high up here at 71,946 since we hit this low down here. All right. Now, that's the weekly. Basically, for me, that's really the only thing of significance apart from this. To look for a later point, and what really kind of doubled down on the bullishness was the rejection of this bearish gap. Price had a strong close through it. We targeted this area for our long setups. You can find all of this in previous live shows, also in the Bitcoin reports that we release daily over at the Bird Nest. And now we're longing up to here. So now what we're going to do is take a look at this on the daily and explain what the thinking was on this as well, right? So again, a couple of bits. This large green box here being the daily fair value gap, and this smaller one, which was set on the close of Saturday's price action. Now, I said that at the time, this candle was right the way down here. It was looking super, super bearish, right? And I said quite simply, unless we close under this fair value gap, then I'm not looking to be short here. As long as we hold this, we're long. Simple as that. We didn't get that close. And actually, I said this as well, and I love these type of patterns because, again, a big daily candle would look super ugly there, right? Closing all the way down, people thinking, right, well, we're going for this low, or market's correcting deeper. Well, actually, you always need to wait for the close on these candles, right? Because I'm not saying, as I said, in terms of it, it's just allocating time that you can go back and you can check this for your own research, right? But this coming down here and closing back within was super bullish because we made this beautiful bullish pin bar candle, right? With a small nose. And then you are just absolutely ripping it. House of Cards, good morning as well. Lovely sunset pictures. Yeah, absolutely. That part of the book moved out just outside of London a little while ago. So pretty much still, in and around. But yeah, we've got a place out there and in London as well still. But pretty much I am, staying out on the coast a lot more these days. Got a lovely office set up here. It's nice to kind of be by the beach. So yeah, drop me a message or something, House of Cards, especially if over at the Bird Nest. But yeah, it's right along there, the kind of divide between Chalkwell and Lee, which is just, beautiful part of the world, small little, beautiful part of England, especially this close to London, small little fishing village. But awesome. Yeah, you certainly know the area. So what are we looking at now? Well, quite simply, look, I'm looking really at how price is reacting at these key levels. At the moment, this looks really good to me because we see the rejection here. Then we set this beautiful pin bar here, right? Now, by setting this, one thing that we have done is we have kind of set a daily inside bar here as well, right? So I won't go into it in too much detail, but basically the high and low of that candle with this candle closing within its region here now means that where we need to be careful is the expansion beyond this high, which would be the mother bar high. If price closes back within this range, I think we could see a corrective move deeper. And I don't have a problem with that, right? Because again, I'm always thinking in my head, where's the massive damage here, right? So let me just get rid of that as well. For me, people getting bullish here. I mean, look, I think we're gravitating towards these equal highs, which I'll show you on a lower time frame, right? But I tell you this right now, if price corrects down to here, we've left this gap, left this fair value gap. Price corrects down into this, then, I'm looking to be a strong buyer in here. But ultimately, one thing of really key interest here is if we close this daily here, we've had a close and a retest confirming this large order block here. This smidge of a close above, right? Price came in, dipped down into this early hours of this morning. We see Asia, London as well, and is now pushing up. So while we're kind of running Saturday's high here as well, I really do like these equal highs up here. However, if we were to see a correction back down to here, I'd be absolutely fine with that as well, right? So if we're looking at this as basic overall structure, nothing wrong with doing something like this, right? We're still holding a really nice structure. But I think at this stage, being this high, it would surprise me if we didn't kind of take out those equal highs first of all. Meme Queen, my lovely, lovely, lovely. How are you doing? wonderful to have you on the show. For anybody that doesn't know, Meme Queen is an absolute diva of a high leverage Bitcoin trader, as well as pretty clued up on the fundamentals as well. And I'm pretty sure helps our wonderful Chris, crypto assessor, who's one of my fam over at the Bird Nest and one of the finest fundamental analysts you could ask for. I'm pretty sure he gets a fair bit of his information from her as well, but we'll keep that under wraps. But lovely to have you on the show, darling. James Blackburn, Bitcoin price prediction for the next 30 days? ? Okay, yeah, good question. If you're looking on that kind of time frame, then you want to be looking on the higher time frame, right? Even maybe as far out as the monthly, and saying to yourself, well, we're coming to the end of the month now. Let's look at the monthly close. Monthly close here is looking sexy at the moment, right? So we have got what is shaping up to be a beautiful, large pin bar candle, or a bullish hammer candle, right? What we can see here is we've had this kind of period of consolidation, right? You had a very kind of marginal bearish engulfing candle here where it closed just below that, right? Then what you're looking for there is for the low to be run out here, yeah? Low gets run out, price moves higher. Within here, we then kind of set with inside this. So this has kind of been a range. What I like about this is just this aggressive sweep of this swing low on a monthly scale, and now a pin bar. We would have to do something pretty drastic for this to not close as a pin bar candle, right? The other thing we want to consider is just all this resting liquidity up here, okay? So there's some really nice highs for price to attack. Ultimately, if we look back historically and we say to ourselves, all right, well, when we're looking to be bullish here, let's see when we saw this type of candle previously and what it led to. There's this type of candle here. There's this type of candle here. And then you can obviously go a lot further back here as well, and you can see a prime example of one there as well, okay? So again, and you look at the difference here, then the majority is the body. You're not getting a long upside wick, meaning that you're not seeing the sell pressure come in. So ultimately, if we're looking at this from a historical perspective, and I was thinking, what is price going to do for the next 30 days? I would assume, or I would make the assumption, that price is going to go higher, and in all truth, probably try and make an attempt on this all-time high, right? Now, look, at the end of the day, predictions are very, very dangerous in a market whereby, you know, anything can happen. We're playing a game of probabilities. There are no certainties, okay? But yeah, Zabas 311, I think bullish, right? Look, at the end of the day, you can sit and try and drive yourself mad by trying to second guess everything. But ultimately, if you're looking at this on this scale, price is obviously repricing higher. We're seeing a big move up in Bitcoin. If we look along here, we've seen a great open today for crypto as well across the whole. So what we've got today is a little bit of a rarity recently, but we have got bullish Bitcoin. We've got bullish alts that are running hot as well. So look to those good narratives. You know, again, one of our Bird Nest legends, your NLP coach, qualified psychologist and a fantastic trader, you know, is really on there. RWA is AI assets, right? These things are about to pop. My really, really good friend, Macro CRG on Twitter this morning, talking about the AI narrative, and, you know, just going to be some ridiculous upsides that we see on them. So without kind of jabbering on too much about that, we're going to take a look at some of those. And you know what? MD, let me see, Cecila, thank you very much. And yeah, we'll absolutely take a look at Cookie for you. Why not? And House of Cards, yeah, awesome. Look forward to that, mate. So where are we at the moment? Quite simply, weekly chart, bullish. Monthly chart, bullish. You know, we look like we're about to close a super bullish candle there, right? And then from here, again, look at these type of candles, exactly as we looked at on the monthly scale, this bullish pin bar, or, you know, hammer candle. This one has a short nose, right? Then we can just see how this is shaping up to lead to the expansion, all right? And setting this order block here for me is also key, because it gives us a level that we can hold, right? Now, when we're looking at levels, when I'm looking at levels, what I'm saying to myself is, where do I want to be a buyer? It doesn't mean that I wouldn't be a buyer here. We can draw down into that on an intraday basis, or even on a short-term swing basis, which we'll do in a moment. But ultimately, you know, I want to be buying at these key areas. I want to be buying at areas like this, right? When we've got all this beautifully aligned confluence. Yeah, we're quite high here, but like I said, look, people will wait for these corrective moves that sometimes just don't come, right? And especially on Bitcoin, because they really can move beastily. Andre, hello, mate. Yeah, great piece of information there as well for any wave traders, and as well fixed range volume, and also an EW, so Elliott wave at lower time frame. results for resistance at 70.4k. Yeah, okay, nice. So look, we've got this here, 70.155, that I think is going to be a player, and 71.946. So in and around here, we're saying that if you look at it from a volume perspective, then our friend here, Andre, is saying, look, this area is kind of tagged up as being an area of resistance at the moment. And actually, as we kind of looked at, we're also, if we counter this in, just get rid of that for a second, as we just discussed, I'll just draw this in so that we've got it for the lower time frame. Right, we are in an inside bar pattern, right? So this becomes our mother bar high, our mother bar low. And if anybody wants to know more on the inside bar pattern, they can find a tweet. I believe it's still pinned at the top of my Twitter profile, BC_Richfield. And you can find a nice education piece there on how we use inside bar patterns and how we've used them historically through traditional markets for a long, long time. And then we have, sorry, this is my train of thought here, mother bar low. Then the pattern is, when you see this large candle here, then you need to have a secondary candle that is within its high and low, so within its range. What that makes is an inside bar, and the secondary candle is called our inside bar. So we have our inside bar high and our inside bar low, and these make ranges, right? So now as we drop down to, say, a 4-hour chart, let me just get rid of the session breaks for a moment. Right, now what we can see here is this strong close above the mother bar high, right? Now, when we're trading ranges, what we're looking for, there's no one better at this than the legend trader SC, right? And also Dank and Exo in his image, right? But excellent traders of their own ilk. Look, is this, and his words always stick in my mind for this, is this a deviation? Yeah. If it is, we get back in the range, then we look to short to the mid, or in this case, the inside bar high, which resides here as well. Find resistance below here, ultimately price then often looking for liquidity lower down, right? And what it does is it allows us to play this level to level, okay? So if price climbs back in the range here, as my good friend Trader Dank would say in his story about Johnny and the pizza, if someone's left your house, you think this range is your house. If someone's left the house and they've told you they're leaving the house and you discover they're back in the house, then why are they back in the house? Why would they tell you they were leaving if they weren't? So basic translation, and his story is considerably better than that, but maybe one for after Watershed. You climb back in the range here, it's a sign of weakness, means that price is probably seeking liquidity lower down, all right? Now, moving away from the inside bar thought, and something that kind of contradicts it a little bit, but is kind of a lot more aligned with how I look to trade these on an intraday basis, is the fact that we have this beautiful fair value gap here. Now, wouldn't it just be a thing of beauty if price came into this fair value gap here, didn't close within it, and then came back out, right? As if we wick into this and close back outside, we haven't closed back in the range. That would be strength. However, I do think that when we look at the strength of the 4-hour close here and the way that price is moving at the moment, that we could expect some further upside here on Bitcoin, and we might just not get those pullbacks, all right? So on an intraday basis, something that's always interesting to me is price, having a little bit of an argument here with Asia's high, and we can just see at the moment that that's what's capping the market, right? So we look at this level here, we can see we're knocking on the door, 1, 2, 3 here. If we saw price break down from here, we could look at this as kind of like a triple strike or a triple run. These things often lead on onto a correction, right? Or percentage-wise, more often than not, lead to a corrective move. But at the moment, this is the area that I'm watching for strength here. And as we know with Bitcoin, this thing can just get hot and it can just absolutely run. Sounds like my mother-in-law thought you were leaving, Mum. Yeah, as she slips back in for the 15th time. Just one more thing, right? Oh, Hans, I feel you there, mate. So what are we doing now? Let's take a look at some other asset class, Yosemite, and seeing as though they are some licensing, let's take an MD. Is it Cecil? Hopefully not mispronouncing that. But let's take a look at Cookie, shall we? With our friends over at Buy a Bit. Yeah, okay, really good point here as well. And I love this because I'm a massive studier and trader of traditional markets as well. So BC, FOMC and funds rate on Wednesday, also last day of the month. Absolutely, mate. This thing is is lining up for potential danger or potential pump. I think for me, maybe I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist at heart, but I'm always thinking, where's the maximum damage? And imagine this. So what our friend is talking about here is the fact that we have FOMC rates decision, right? So let me just share this with you guys so we can take a very quick look before we move on. And then we'll move back to the charts. Yeah, sure, we can take a look at that for you, Hunter. No problem. SEI. Okay, so here we go. Boom. Now, yes, we've got a lot of stuff. So we've got no real red folder news today. For anybody that doesn't know, this is red folder news. We're using this when we're trading traditional markets, Forex, indices, etc., right? Legacy stocks, because these are high impact news events that affect different countries. However, the focus heavily on the US, because US news, especially around their rates, which affects the dollar, which affects interest rates, which affects inflation, which affects the money in the pocket of the average American, who are still some of the biggest spenders and have some of the biggest impacts on the market, are really, really key. And what we can see here is Wednesday, we have this absolute just myriad of news coming out, red folder news, right? This is just Wednesday, right? This gray area here. Now, I won't get into this in too much detail, but interesting piece coming up on the Bank of Japan at the moment, who, you know, have potentially looking to hike interest rates. The yen has been running very, very hot. So we're going to kind of look at that. So anybody that's got Forex trading could be very interested in the Japan news that's coming out of that. You've got the Outlook report and the Bank of Japan press conference, but we're focused down here on the federal funds rate and FOMC statement and press conference, where our dear friend Powell will be taking the microphone, and this guy can just look at the camera in the wrong way and tank a market or pump a market. Key things to watch out for on the kind of cryptocurrency is we are in a world of a high risk asset, meaning that really what we want to hear is quite a dovish tone from the Fed. And when you hear that term, dovish basically means bullish, hawkish means bearish. And look, it's all to do with whether they're going to cut rates. The pricing in at the moment is that they're going to hold where they are and then price in the markets will look to price in a rate cut happening. I think the next one after that is either September or October for the States. So if it holds, it should just keep a level playing field. And allow indices, your indexes, S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, etc., to continue their upward trajectory, even though they've had a minor pullback recently. And it should lay a good foundation for crypto as well. You then throw in big catalysts like the election year, you throw in catalysts like Trump, etc. Then, it's looking bullish overall. I just thought I'd share that with you guys in case there's anybody. Well, I would recommend that everybody kind of aligns themselves with kind of macro news and economics and bits and pieces like that as well. It will only ever add as an extra string to your bow and an advantage, right? So that aside, anyway, let's take a look at Cookie, shall we? Now, Cookie on the daily, we can see here, you'll see this quite often with, newly launched assets or ones when they join an exchange. Nice strong move up from Cookie, not back down to its lows at the moment. But what are we looking at here? Well, quite simply, we're looking for something to give us intent on to why Cookie would want to be heading to these kind of levels here. And why these levels? Well, because we never really know where price is going to, right? Even in a bull market, some assets will underperform, others will overperform. The most accurate way I've always found of doing this is by focusing on liquidity targets, right? So I'm saying to myself, I need an indication as to why price is ready to move up here. Well, we can see that we've been in a consolidation here for a little while. And one thing that's given me a little bit of hope is we've had a change in state. Well, if price action stays the way that it is, this will give us a change in state of delivery. That's just meaning basically that, these down close candles are being respected. All right. Now, what we're really looking for here is for this one. However, I'd really like to see a close above this one as well, purely because it's a much larger order block candle that's kind of containing these smaller ones here. So saying that, not really tons to be gleaned on here. If we do close above this like we have done today, I think chances are we have more upside, but probably looking at this on a lower time frame makes a lot of sense, right? And you can see the structural recovery here, right? Lower lows, lower highs, then this first higher high, yeah, and little higher low, and then price has just nicely been kind of grinding its way up since then. Yeah, so what you want to see is a continuation of that. We have this nice kind of grinding recovery in market structure. Now, in terms of where we can be a buyer here, obviously always treacherous kind of jumping into a trend that's running hot. Look, the trend is our friend until the end. Sounds like a cheesy statement, but it's absolutely true. Now, if we apply the same principles here, we saw the change in state of delivery here on the 4 hour, leading us into a bullish session this morning. Immediate liquidity is here, right? But it looks like we're going to get a reasonable close above this. Now, again, when we look at these, we're looking for how price reacts at these key highs. We have relative equal highs here. Look what happened. Price just tickled this area and then saw a decent sell-off, all right? Where now here, if we saw a big strong close above this level here, that would give real encouragement that price is ready to move higher. Case examples here, the reaction at this high, look, price closed below, ultimately we saw a sell-off, compared to then when we're in here and we saw this high, the strong, large body close above gave us an indication that price action was looking to move a little bit higher. Then we look to our bullish gaps like this one to offer support, and we can see how lovely that's kind of held, or how well that's held, and provided that platform for price to move higher. The other thing of note is, I know I bang on about these a lot, but these inversion gaps become really, really important support resistance flips, right? So bearish gap here, meaning that we expect it to offer resistance. We see it disrespected, close through aggressively. We then look to this area to offer support. So what we've got here is kind of stacked support, leading to us to look to trade this a little bit higher. Now, on the lower of the time frames here, right, and then looking at this in terms of continuation, what we're doing, or what I'm doing anyway, is looking in and around the hourly, the 15-minute here, and saying, okay, where are our gaps, our bullish gaps? We have one here. So as long as we hold this gap, I think we could ultimately look to move higher. We've got pre-made targets up there. However, we need to also appreciate that during these really large expansions, you can often see these larger gaps left here, but we can see how this was marginally rebalanced here. Price dipped into this, showed lovely bullish resurgence, and then looks to move higher. So in terms of cookie, bullish on this, want to see this level hold here, and ultimately kind of on a 4-hour scale, I think what's going to tell us the most is looking at the close we get above here. Strong close like this, very hard to kind of fade these big bullish candles, all right? So let's see how the close comes in on the cookie. Let's take a little look at SEI as well for our friend Hunter. So, oh wow! Now this is, so there's a gentleman on the stream with us today who's, a good friend of mine, a member over at the Birdnest with us as well, and part of our awesome trade club crew who we trade live together kind of 3 days a week. A chap called Geo, and he built this amazing indicator for us. That's the one where you can see my Asia's range on there. You can see my New York opening price, midnight price, all the different little bits and pieces and nuances that we use, but also this awesome bit of code that highlights where we get these equal highs. Now, these are perfect equal highs. That one and that one will be to the point, to the pip, to the cent, right? But we also have these other two highs in and around here, and this is a humongous liquidity target. So I'm super bullish here on SEI, and I'll tell you for why. We've swept this liquidity level at the lows. Look at that. Price tried to close below. Beautiful pin bar candles straight back up. And again, just banging the same drum, I know, but it does make sense to me, which is we get this inversion. Bearish gap should be offering us resistance, right? It doesn't, closes through it. It then becomes an inversion. We expect this now to offer support. What else have we done? We've also set this big, beautiful order block here, right? So again, see, set the order block, wire, consecutive down close candles. Price closes above this. We can see where it's tested it as support. Now for me, I think we're making a beeline for 0.3758 as an immediate target here. That's, I'm absolutely all over that. I think that looks stunning. Now, does it mean that we have to rip from here? No, we could absolutely correct lower. Price could come back within here. So what we're doing is we're setting ourselves a set of parameters, saying if we get a 4-hour close back below this, then I'm expecting this at least to be retested. The other thing that we want to appreciate here as well is we've left this big bullish gap lower on the 4-hour too. So what we could see is something where price maybe comes up and takes liquidity above this swing high here. Yeah, because you're always looking for a point that price can react at, right? Or I certainly am anyway. So price maybe comes up, runs this, gets everyone really bullish, then has a correction down here. Now, we can come into this gap here, right? Not close below it, wick back above it here, Yeah. And then we really could be looking at some go time. All right. So they're the kind of two scenarios that I'm looking for here, really, is do we get that kind of pullback here, really kind of catch the market offside before price really then rips? Or do we kind of hold this level? And then really what I'll be leaning on there is looking at how these 15-minute gaps are respected. All right. So what we've got here is we can see we've got this nice bullish 15-minute FVG. See, we just tickled into it here, and now we've had a nice expansion higher. We can see that we've got some kind of liquidity targets running up here. So we've left a failure swing here. So what do I want to see? Well, if I look at the same principles I've used for the higher time frame and say, okay, well, here's our support. So inversion gap here, price closed above, couldn't close below it again, reacted from this bullish gap and moved higher. As long as we continue to hold this level, then I think we look to move up. Start closing below this here, then ultimately these relative equal lows down here look incredibly tempting for price based at 0.606, little swing low below there. But again, we can see how price can make its move down towards here to find the buyers again, you know, and catch a lot of over leverage players offside, and then look to really kind of have a rip. The other thing I just want to take a look at here as well are our B Pro levels, right? So this is our in-house indicator, incredibly reliable piece of kit. So we can see here we haven't flipped the high time frame trailer yet. This is set to 4 hour, meaning that we can see what happens here. When we're below it, we're favoring shorts. That's the long black line. When we're above it, we're favoring long. So we can see it caught this nice little bullish resurgence here into key liquidity. Ultimately, it had us bearish again from here, right? Meaning that we caught all of this downtrend. Small corrective move here, but no structure break. So continue with the downtrend. Structure break here on this perfect line had us bullish all the way here, right? All the way from the 8th of July, only flipped bearish on the 21st, right? Just it's a really, really, really good kit, right? We're looking at different ways we can bring this indicator to the market for everyone as well. So please do watch this space. And if you are interested, over on our website, it's called the Burbicator Pro. All right, been designed specifically by Crypto Bourbon. He has made multi-millions already this year with it. It's all relative though, right, to your position size, etc. But if you are someone that likes that extra confluence, it can be full. Anyway, what it's telling us is getting very close to flipping this bullish again. And when that happens, then we really want to kind of take note. Okay, so that's where we are on SEO. I think somebody else for a one. Good afternoon, my friend. Can I get Theta? I will indeed. Benson. Oh my god, I'm about to absolutely muller this name, but it's a beautiful name. It sounds a little bit African. Ulwasmilogo Benson. Apologies, I've absolutely murdered that, but it sounds like African or South African. Spent a lot of time out there with just some of the most awesome people you could wish for, but obviously being English, just still continue to murder the pronunciation. So let's look at Theta for you, mate. Take a look with our partners over at Binance, shall we? Our strategic partners. Nice. Okay, so again, I'm liking the look of this here, right? Immediately my eye is drawn to where price has most recently reacted from, and that is this bullish gap down here. So price finding support down here, clearing out a lot of liquidity here. We maybe didn't see the reaction everybody wanted at that point, but ultimately we've now had this lovely little sweep here. Yeah. Price come back above. Again, look, I like this here as well. Nice, clean, clear and obvious down close candle. Right, setting a nice order block. And ultimately, if we look at this as the order block candle, and this is how I draw my order blocks, other people might be different. If I have an abnormally long wick, sometimes I consider that, but ultimately I look for a bullish order block. I'm looking for a bearish down close candle and taking the flat top of the body down to the bottom of the wick. And then what I want to see is I want to see this area hold. Right, let me put this on as that. The 50% level. So when this was confirmed here, see how price pushed up, right? Confirms this is the order block for me when it closes above. Look how it just perfectly dips into that lower 50% here before having that bullish reaction. So for me, that continues to be bullish. Should we have closed, sorry, below that 50%, you know, would have thought maybe it's a sign of weakness and we're coming to find some liquidity below those lows, right? But at the moment, I really like that. Just going to get rid of that and we'll keep that black line on the chart. Ultimately, where do I think price is being drawn to? Well, we have this bearish gap above us here. And I think that's the current draw on liquidity. So I think that's what's driving price higher. Just before that, we have this swing high, right? So if we draw them in and we can take a look at that, that's on a weekly scale, right? Now we move down to a daily, we can see that draw moving higher. What I like about this here is we had a very thin gap here that we held and another gap here that we just closed below that, but we've certainly held this one here, literally to the dollar. Now what I'm interested in here is saying, okay, well, what are we looking for? We see we have the change in state of delivery here again. We set this order block, and again, look how well it's respected. Price closes above, retests it again. Now it's driving that bullish momentum higher. Just going to get rid of this so it doesn't become distracting, guys. All right, but we know we're in the realms of that bullish order block at the moment on a weekly scale. So where is price targeting? Well, as long as we can hold this high becomes of interest, because it would also be a structure break. Higher high, higher low, lower high, higher low. This would then be on its way to a higher high. Imran Khan, my friend, how are you doing? No problem at all, mate. We'll have this on recording as well, so do reach out and let me know if you've got any questions, mate. But I really like the swing high here after those 1.6702. Okay, now another point of confirmation here would be, the daily close above this candle here again, which would lead us to having another order block. The importance of order blocks, whether they're at key levels, etc., I leave up to you to decide. But ultimately, what you want to see, like we did here, right, is if you're in a downtrend, as we are here, you want to see the up close candles defend price, close below, price doesn't reach above it, down up close candles defend price. Look how beautifully that worked. Same here. Notice how price is not able to close above these candles, right? They act as bullish, as bearish blockers in this case, right? Then you get the situation like you do here where price is delivering, right? And then you're looking for your down close candles to work the other way. And look how key that level's been. Yeah. That was the down close candle where price closed above it here, price retested it here, and then ultimately we're just looking for these candles to be respected on the other way. All right. Of course, like everything in trading, nothing has a certainty to it, right? But we're just overlaying probabilities as we do as traders. Let's have a look. The lottery numbers, yeah, exactly. Bad timing. No, I'll share it with you later, Imran. It's fine, mate. So 4 hour here, I think targets look pretty similar, right? Order block we're holding here. You want to see that confirmed. That's on a daily scale. So if we're looking at this before, what have we got up here? Big abnormal wick, lots of liquidity up there, almost certainly. We also have this here, which is a swing high within a fair value gap. All right, beautiful liquidity pools over here. So, again, where can price react from? Well, if we're looking at an intraday, which we'll do in a second, but if we're not, then we look at this here. I could happily see a correction back down to this level here to find some buyers in here and price to move up. If we're looking for it to move up directly from where it is at the moment, we have to appreciate that this is obviously very illiquid. Not very illiquid, but illiquid enough, certainly on this exchange, that we're kind of struggling a little bit. You can see all the gapping happening there, right? So again, a little bit gappy even here on the hourly. However, we can still see that price is being supported in this nice hourly gap. So I think as long as we hold this, we push up to higher liquidity targets, close below this, and I think we come down for some of these inefficiencies lower down as well. And Zabas 311, absolutely, mate. Let's close up on some Pepe, shall we? We can see here how much more liquid Pepe is, right? Look, you go down to a 5 minute here and it's not even gapping, even on a 1 minute, right? Look, looks a little bit more binary, right? But that's insane. You compare that to Theta, where on a 1 hour chart, we're seeing huge gapping, right? It's a very, very, very big difference. So let's zoom out. Anyway, what have we been looking at here? So we obviously got something right when we looked at Pepe last time in terms of looking for this correction lower. We can see that on a weekly scale, broken record time, guys. But what did we do? We inverted this here, right? What do we then expect price to do? To seek external liquidity lower down in the form of a low. Did we have one down here? No, we didn't. The first one was here, I think. No, actually here. So yes, we can target that. But what does price do sometimes? Well, price creates its own liquidity, price action, sorry. And it created that low. That low was taken. Look, closed below, retested it as resistance. Ultimately then set this swing low, took that, reacted well, right? Because now look what's happened. Much skinnier gap, but we've done the same here. Like we looked at on Bitcoin, etc. We've had that inversion now. So ultimately, and we've set this order block. So happy days, right? We're moving into a really nice bullish state of delivery here on Pepe. Also, sorry, just to plug this in quickly, this thing has never shifted structure. Not never, but hasn't recently, right? Higher highs, higher lows. So, ultimately this is still holding a really nice bullish structure. And as far as I can see, you know, we're holding this really important high time frame order block over here as well, right? Why is this more important? Well, quite simply, it swept a low here and it delivered from a fair value gap. So anytime we see an order block set at a really key point of liquidity, or that's how I look at it, it holds even more significance, and price just dipped into this and has now seen that beautiful bullish reaction. So what are we looking for now on the lower time frames? Well, as we were looking at before here with this breakdown, we were looking for this fair value gap here to defend price and the 4 hour. Ultimately, we got the sell-off we were looking for. Price found, you know, a little bit of resurgence here, and then it held in, and then we see this big expansion higher. So what is price now doing? I'm just going to hide this for a moment, right? Yeah, we can take a look at that before we shut up shop, mate. Of course we can. Aussie dollar's been getting a little bit hammered recently, been a difficult asset to trade because I believe, not just me obviously, but I think it's a lot of it is to do with the news coming out of China about the economical problems, etc. That will affect manufacturing. Manufacturing will affect Australia heavily because they're super reliant on China for that, as are a lot of the West. You're very welcome, Zabas. Right, so here on a daily scale now, we're holding this gap. What have we seen? We've seen a beautiful reaction here at this bullish gap. We've also taken out this low. So that is looking good. In terms of upside targets, I would be looking here at 0.4001315. All right, guys, looking at that. And then we have these other beautiful untapped gems of swing highs, right? Because these create great liquidity pools. Untapped, 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 untapped. All resting liquidity here, guys and girls, right? So that is what price often loves to hunt down. So while we're here, actually, I like this. Bullish reaction. Looks to have formed a nice kind of bull flag type pattern here as well. Could, in fact, be breaking out at this point. You know, that wick down to there, even if you allow it from wick to wick so that you're joining them. Again, what I like to do is anchor it to a specific point. Yeah, so that we've got it like that. And then, you know, I'm happy to do a line of best fit, but I don't want to just be drawing through bodies. If this is the information I've got now, I'm happy to leave it there, see how it doesn't violate the body of the candle. Yeah, it's either that or I have to have it anchored points to two direct wicks, the two, you know, most obvious ones here. But for me, I like to look at it from that because, you know, price action told like this. The wicks tell you where price tried to get to. The bodies tell you where what succeeded and where the volume of the trading is, right? So this looks like it could be a pattern-based breakout here at the moment. You can see we've got kind of nice resistance level down here. Price is holding it. But ultimately, I think while we're doing that, I think the likelihood is for price to continue higher. So let's have a look at that on the 4 hour and see how we can get involved if we want to. Well, quite simply, immediate 4 hour target is here, which looks really good. That's a quadruple zero, or sorry, 0.001249. Again, we can see what happened here. We had a change in state of delivery. Price started to move higher. I'd love to see that high left intact and then for price to come here. Or, so for price to do one of these two things, either leave the high intact, yeah, or don't sweep the high, come down to here and then move up, right? Or to sweep liquidity above the high, encourage a lot of over leverage longs, yeah, to move into position here, only for us to see a corrected move down, taking out that liquidity, the stop losses of the players, you know, entering probably a little bit carelessly, over leveraged, and then corrected move down, wipes out all that leverage, retests this trend line here, and then we get that expansion higher. So that is what I'd be looking for on Pepe. Would I throw myself into Pepe now? I'd want to see how we react at this level here. If we pull back here, I'll be a more interested buyer on a lower time frame down here. Let's just take a very quick look at the 15-minute here, see if we've had any early stage act. No, you know, taking out Asia's high here, that's natural. Obviously, we've had the weekend price action come in here. Still think this is a really big draw, which would be Saturday's high. So again, if I was looking to be long on Pepe here, I would want to see this inverted, because at the moment that's a bearish gap that's capping the market. Price has set this bearish gap and is now reacting bearishly from that. Now, aligned with the liquidity principles that I certainly follow, then until we violate this to the upside, meaning we close above it, I'm favoring more downside here for price to seek liquidity lower down. Close above this here, I think we come and smash these equal highs and then really get into a buy program, all right? And that's what I'd be looking at. So we're going to close the session off, guys. Just taking a very quick look at Aussie dollar. For anybody interested in the Forex pairs, please do remember, we trade all asset classes and we teach all asset classes at the Bird Nest. If you guys are interested in anything we do over there, we've got a wonderful education hub and a great community. You know, we've got an official calls team, a professional trading team that I have the great honor of being head of, although, you know, they're all absolutely magnificent traders who've been profitable, and we print and have available all of our stats, right? So all of our P&L for that. So if you're interested in that, you can find all the stuff down in the description. Please do come and check it out. Memberships start from free, right? So you can come and be part of it. And also, if you want any of the goodies from the exchange partners that we've got, you can find that in the description as well. But for anybody that's interested here in traditional market assets, so looking at Forex, let's take a look at Aussie dollar, US dollar. All right. Now, we've done a little bit of work on this recently, I think. So let's take a look, see what we've got anything left on the charts. No. Okay. So look, just talking about being a buyer from down here. Why? Because look at this on the daily. Look at this brutal sell-off. One of the biggest consistent sell-offs with no up-close candles that we've seen in a long time. Bigger than this drop here, bigger than this drop here. Right, you're kind of having to get back into the territory of here. And, you know, even these had interspersing white candles, right, which are up-close candles. From here, we're just seeing a lot of sell pressure. So I'm saying to myself, okay, well, where are these? These, by the way, were previous downside targets that we were chasing. So we chased into this. Look how we got the close below, telling us that it's probably going to move down for the next liquidity. That was on a lower time frame. We've now taken out this one. And again, the strong close below shows us the buyers really weren't stepping in. So where are we now? Well, the thing that's a point of interest here is we had this bullish gap over here, right? We can see how price dipped into this here and had that strong reaction. Now we can see here how we've closed below it. Now, it's a very slender close. And actually this downside wick, the reason we were looking to be buyers here was because you dive into here and then price really kind of getting bought up. However, we have to respect, you know, what price is doing. And closing below this here has now inverted this, meaning that there's, you know, favorability for price to seek liquidity lower. That swing low would be an original target. This over here as well, which is a key liquidity pool, again, a low sat within our value gap. Also, you know, we've created this bearish gap above us. So quite simply, we could see price draw towards that and reject, but ultimately we're bearish here, right? So we have to retain a bearish bias. On the 4-hour, price has seen this consolidation. We saw this head in from the end of week Friday, kind of consolidated through. We've had the market and had the pre-market open here. Price hasn't quite engaged with this here, but I tell you what, we have left some pretty tempting liquidity here in the form of equal highs. And price has just swept liquidity from this low. And see how it's failed to close below it here, right? So on an intraday basis, I'd be looking at this and saying, okay, well, I'll come back to that non-intraday. But I'm looking at this here and saying to myself, okay, well, what does this mean? Well, look, we've taken a key liquidity pool. We've run Asia's range. These red boxes are shown by Asia's range. Again, a big shout out to Geo for his indicator for that. We've got equal highs resting above, which provide a really, really key liquidity target. So what would I look for if I'm looking for continuation higher? Well, first thing I would have wanted to see, guys, was this gap respected. All right. And, you know, ultimately it hasn't been. Yeah. So bullish gap. Would have looked for that to be respected, for this to draw and move for higher prices. At the moment, the fact we've closed below that, inverting it, just overlaying our same market principles here, I'm now looking for price to move down and seek liquidity out below here. If we close back above this, we need to be cautious because we've got these other gaps above as well. If we move this to say like an hourly, we can see we're reacting from a bullish hourly gap here as well. So at the moment, you know, this 15-minute would determine my bias on an intraday basis, especially close above this. I think we move higher because we're also holding a higher time frame gap. But as it stands at the moment, closing below it, we could ultimately look to flush that out. Probably wouldn't look to actively short this asset down to here because we're quite low in this move already, but certainly be watching this as a key pivot point should we recover it. All right, guys. Look, wishing you all a fantastic week ahead. Please do come and join us over at the Bird Nest. You can come and join us for free, get involved in the community, follow us on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, BC_Richfield. And yeah, it's been fantastic to be live with you all again. Thank you all for your time and patience. Had, you know, several thousand people on the stream again, which always I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Please do reach out if you've got questions or there's things you'd like to see more on the stream, etc. And as for that, I'll be live again on Wednesday for our Alt Request Wednesday. Yeah, so if you've got any charts, any assets at all, any instruments you would like charted, please do let me know, and we will make time as best as we can to cover them on the show. All right, you legends. Big shout out to you all. Far too many of you to thank individually, I'm afraid, this week. But a big shout out, you know who you all are. And for anybody new, I hope you've enjoyed the content and have a fantastic week ahead. Be aware, please, on Wednesday, we'll cover this again on the stream. But if you aren't able to make it, do be aware that there's some really, really big, heavy hitting news coming in the form of the FOMC statement and press conference, which UTC will take place towards the latter parts of the day. Okay, so UK time, we're looking at the federal funds rate at 7 p.m. That will be 6 p.m. UTC. All right. And just apart from that, just wishing you all a fantastic week ahead. Appreciate every one of you. And I look forward to seeing most of you over at the Nest.